Isa pong mapagpalang araw sa inyong lahat. Salamat po. Thank you for joining me today in our study. And we will continue yung pong ating pag-aaral sa tinatawag nating apologetics. Why we believe what we believe. And ito po yung ating second installment na sa pagkakataon pong ito, matapos natin pag-usapan reasons I believe, the Bible is God's Word. Pag-usapan naman po natin ngayon, reasons I believe God exists. Generally speaking, dito po sa atin sa Pilipinas, hindi po problema na pag-usapan ang existence of God. Hindi po malaking issue ang paniniwala na may Diyos sa kalagitnaan natin o may isang tunay na Diyos. The Philippine culture is a strong believer in supernatural beings. Meron pong dalawang klase ng supernatural beings. The word supernatural here means not part of the natural, visible, or physical world. Yun po ang ibig sabihin natin o tinutukoy natin sa salitang supernatural. Hindi siya bahagi ng natural o nakikita o ng physical na mundo. Examples are angels and demons. Hindi po sila nakikita, hindi po sila bahagi ng natawag nating visible world. They are supernatural. And the law of physics or the laws of physics do not limit their powers, yet they act within and upon this world. So yun po, ang mga angels and demons po ay supernatural beings din. Now, there are two kinds of supernatural beings para lang po magkaintindihan tayo kapag pinag-uusapan natin yung supernatural beings. Ang una po is the divinely supernatural. At kapag po sinabi natin the divinely supernatural, ito po yung the God of the Bible who is beyond or ang sabi nga po nila transcendent. The God of the Bible who is beyond, distinct, and separate from the created world. Ang Diyos ng Biblia na nasa nasa iba at nahihiwalay sa tinatawag nating mga nilikha o sangnilikha. Yun po yung divinely supernatural. Meron din naman po tinatawag na the creaturely supernatural, who is in a different dimension yet created beings. Sila po ay hindi nakikita, pero sila po ay dahilan nga po sa sila ay nasa ibang dimension. And yet, they are created beings. Ito pong tinatawag nating creaturely supernatural are created beings. They were created good but out of their free will choices, yung kanilang pagpili. Sila po ay lumaban sa Diyos. They rebelled against God. And they are supernatural. Pero tandaan po ninyo, bagaman sila supernatural like the angels and the demons, they are limited in their powers and knowledge. Kasi created beings po sila. It is important po mga kapatid na maunawaan natin ito sapagkat we always use the word supernatural and akin lamang pong naisip na liwanagin natin yung salitang divinely supernatural at saka yung creaturely supernatural sapagkat yung pong divinely supernatural ay hindi po tinatawag nating he is beyond, he is distinct, and he is separate from the creature. Yung po namang divinely supernatural or creaturely supernatural ay created beings. Bagaman sila din po ay nasa invisible world na tinatawag. Now, pag-uusapan po natin ngayon ang ating goal na lagi ko nga pong sinasabi every time we talk about apologetics is let us go back to our goal which is according to First Peter 3:15 ay ganito po ang sinabi. And this is the reason why we discussed yung pong mga reasons I believe. Sabi po ng 1 Peter 3:15, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Kaya pagkatapos po natin pag-usapan, reasons I believe the Bible is God's word or the supernatural, the divinely supernatural origins of the Bible. Pag-usapan naman po natin yung reasons I believe God exists. Now, we are trying to avoid yung nga pong tinatawag nating circular reasoning, and circular reasoning is not our option here. It is not our choice. Ang ibig pong sabihin mga kapatid ng circular reasoning is we're going to try to prove the existence of God through the pages of the Bible. Now, hindi ko po sinasabi na mali po yun. At hindi ko natin po sinasabi na hindi nakakatulong yon. Although we already talk about the reasons we believe the Bible is God's word, actually, matapos po nating maumpisahan na naniniwala na tayo na talagang ito ay salita ng Diyos, ang Biblia ay salita ng Diyos, pwede natin gamitin sa susunod na lesson, kagaya nga po na reasons I believe God exists, pwede natin gamitin ang Biblia. But at this time, at this moment, I will still not use the Bible as the reference in order to say, well, gumagamit siya ng circular reasoning. Hindi nga ako naniniwala sa Biblia o hindi nga ako naniniwala sa Diyos na siya'y nagsalita, bakit siya magko-quote ng mula sa Biblia? And so our choice here will be the same as the last time. Ang ating pong gagawin, we will provide the rational proofs for the existence of God, although using the Bible, kagaya nga po ng aking nasabi, as an approach is also a valid approach or acceptable approach. Hindi lang po yun ang aking pinipiling approach to explain to you the reasons I believe God exists. Para po sa iba, ang ginagawa po nila ay they try to prove, kagaya ng ating ginawa po sa ating series na ito, they try to prove the authority of the Bible. Pagkatapos po noon ay they can now use the Bible to prove many things or other things. And that is okay. Yung iba naman po, they first discuss the existence of God, and matapos ng pag-usapan o talakayin ng existence of God, then they talk about the God who wrote a book. May iba't iba pong pamamaraan ng mga tagapagturo ng Biblia kung saan po sila nagsisimula. Either they start on the Bible, that it is the authority from God, that it is inspired. Yung iba naman nagsisimula sa existence of God. Now, meron pong ilang mga kadahilan, rational proofs, kung bakit po ang Diyos ay nag-i-exist. And when we say rational proofs, this is okay because sinabi din po naman sa atin na ang pagmamahal sa Diyos ay sa pamamagitan ng ating buong puso, ng ating buong isip. Kaya hindi po masama na gamitin ang rationality, gamitin ang logic to prove our love and our pursuit of God. At ang una nga po na patunay na maaari nating magamit, reasons I believe God exists, is yung tinatawag po nating the ontological argument. Kapag po sinabi nating ontological argument, and please pardon the words, gagamit po tayo dito ng mga ilang mga terminologies to deepen our understanding of the study. The ontological argument is the study of the nature or being. Yung pagsisiyasat sa pagiging ano ng isang bagay. Ano ba ang nature ng bagay na ito? That is what we mean by ontological or ontological argument, especially when we talk about the Bible. The cause means existence. Lahat ay may pinagmulan. Ang ontological argument po ay nagsasabi at nangangatuwiran na lahat ay may pinagmulan. Kung bakit nag-e-exist ang isang bagay, kung bakit may nag-e-exist, kasi may pinagmulan, may cause. At pinapahalagahan po ng ontological argument yung tinatawag nating cause, yung pinagmulan, yung pinagbuhatan. And existence is part of the definition of God. Bakit po? Bakit po ang existence ay bahagi ng pag-unawa sa Diyos? Ito po'y hindi nalalayo. Yung pong existence as part of the definition of God ay hindi nalalayo doon po sa natawag nating three-sidedness. Yung pagiging tatlo na side bilang definition ng tinatawag nating triangle. Kaya po may triangle ay sapagkat mayroong tatlong sulok o tatlong kalalagayan. And so, to exclude ang ating alisin yung existence, yung pinagmulan, yung cause as part of the definition of God is the same as removing the three sides of a triangle, yung tatlong sides ng triangle, at wala ka ng triangle. Ganon din po, kapag inalis mo sa definition sa God, yung existence, yung pinagmulan, yung cause, ay hindi mo na ma-define ang tinatawag nating God. There will be an incomplete definition of God if you will exclude existence in the definition. Kagaya naman ng kapag inalis mo yung three sides of a triangle, ay wala ng triangle, bagamat alam natin the triangle exists in reality and in the mind. May mga bagay po kasi na hindi o imposible na mangyari. Ano po ang halimbawa sa philosophy ng hindi o imposible na mangyari, na hindi logical na mangyari? Kagaya po ng the existence or definition of a square triangle. Square triangle. Hindi po pwede ang square triangle. Hindi rin po pwede ang square tapos circle. Hindi po pwede. Ito po yung tinatawag natin mga imposible. Imposible. Ang sabi nga po, may mga bagay na hindi maaring mangyari. Ngayon, meron po namang mga bagay na hindi maaring hindi mangyayari, especially when we are defining God, and included in the definition of God is the word existence, yung pinagmulan. Hindi pwedeng maghiwalay yung dalawang yon. Hindi po illogical. Ang illogical po ay yung binanggit natin na square, triangle, yung pong square, circle, pero hindi po illogical ang God at saka yung existence sa definition ng God. Let me explain po kasi meron pong unang nagpaliwanag ng ganitong pagpapaunawa ng existence of God. At ito po'y walang iba kundi si Anselm noong pong 1033 hanggang 1109, diyan po siya sa panahon na yan nabuhay. At ang kanya pong sinasabi ay ganito, God is the greatest conceivable being. God is the greatest conceivable being. Tandaan po ninyo, greatest conceivable being. Siya po yung greatest conceivable na realidad. Sinabi rin po ni Anselm na God can be conceived of as existing in our minds. Hindi lamang po siya realidad sa labas. Hindi po lamang siya realidad sa labas ng ating skull, ng ating kaisipan, kundi itong Diyos din po na tinatawag na greatest conceivable being or reality ay nag-e-exist din po sa ating mga kaisipan within the skull, outside our mind, outside our mind and inside our mind. Ito po yung sinasabi ni Anselm na God is the greatest conceivable being. Now, ano po ang kanyang conclusion? Since God, sabi ni Anselm, is the greatest conceivable being na greatest conceivable being in reality outside the mind and in our mind, sabi niya, He must exist in reality and He must exist in our minds. And ito ang dahilan kung bakit po God exists. Kasi siya ay greatest conceivable being at hindi maaring hindi siya mag-exist. Hindi po siya contingent, kundi God is non-contingent, hindi maaaring hindi naroon. Kasi nga greatest conceivable being, or else hindi siya greatest conceivable being. Kung ang God ay greatest conceivable being, siya po ay non-contingent, ano po, siya po ay hindi maaring hindi naroon, and therefore, He must exist. According to Anselm. Yan po ang kanyang pagbibigay ng paliwanag sa existence of God. Ito po'y pinalo up ng isa pang philosophers. Ito po ay si Descartes, 1496 to 1650, more or less, ano po, ng kanyang ang panahon. Na ang sabi naman po niya ay ganito, God, and he claims that God is the supremely perfect being. God, the supremely perfect being. At ang sabi rin po niya ay ganito, God eternally exists in perfection. So ito po yung kanyang mga panukala that God is the supremely perfect being, God eternally exists in perfection, and Descartes said, therefore, He exists necessarily. Kailangan siya ay nag-exist because He is the supremely perfect. Supremely perfect. And He eternally exists in perfection. At kung siya ay supremely perfect and exists in perfection, He, therefore, exists necessarily. Bakit po? Bakit po He exists necessarily? Kasi po, ayon kay Descartes, if we accept the definition of God as a supremely perfect being, underline the words, supremely perfect being. Kung tinatanggap natin yung panukala, yung pag-iisip na ang Diyos ay supremely perfect being, therefore, kung magagayon, we need to accept that He exists or else, kung hindi siya nag-exist, ang sasabihin mong hindi nag-exist ang isang supremely perfect being, kung hindi siya nag-exist, therefore, He is not a supremely perfect being. The fact that God is the supremely perfect being, it means He exists. Yun po yung sinasabi dito ni Descartes. Kasi kung hindi siya nag-exist, di yung definition mo ng supremely perfect being concerning God ay hindi totoo at mapapasinungalingan. And the fact also that God exists in perfection. Now, we need to understand po na bagamat magagamit natin ang ontological argument, yung pong the study of the nature and being, bagamat magagamit po natin ito sa pagpapahayag na at pagpapatotoo, pagpapatunay na ang Diyos ay nag-exist, kagaya ng ontological argument says, if God exists, He exists not necessarily. Yet His existence, ito po ang problema, ito po ang limitation, ito po ang weakness ng ontological argument, yung pag-aaral sa nature or being ng isang bagay. his existence must be determined on other grounds or in some other means. Yan, napatunayan mo ang existence, pero anong ground ng kanyang existence? Kumbaga may kulang pa rin. Meron pa rin pong tinatawag na mga loopholes at butas. Okay, yeah, he exists, but how can we determine or in what other ways that we can prove na talagang nag-exist siya? Because it's still not enough. But it's still an argument na masasabi natin na if God is supremely perfect being, God eternally exists, therefore he exists necessarily, or else he is not supremely perfect. Yun po yung sabi ni Descartes at sabi nga din po ni Anselm that God is the greatest conceivable being. Reality, na kung hindi siya greatest conceivable being and he does not exist, then he is not the greatest conceivable being. And yet many believe that someone exists as the greatest conceivable being. So yun po yung ontological argument. Punta po naman tayo dun sa pangalawang pagpapatunay, pamamaraan ng pagpapatunay philosophically ng existence of God. Ang tawag naman po dito sa pangalawa ay the cosmological argument. Dito po sa cosmological argument, nagsasabi na the reality or effect, yung pong realidad, yung pong bunga, requires a cause. It requires a cause. May pinanggalingan. May realidad, may epekto, may bunga. Kapag may bunga, may pinagmulan, may puno. Ito po ang tinatawag na cosmological argument. Now, paano po nangangatwiran at anong ibinibigay na katwiran ng cosmological approach? Ito po yon. Una, sinasabi nila, every effect has a cause. Kung bakit may nag-exist, bakit may bunga, sapagkat may pinanggalingan. Every effect has a cause. Pangalawa po na ipinapanukala ng cosmological approach ay ito. There is no infinite series of cause. Walang katapusang cause na ito pinagmulan ito, tapos ito pa ang pinagmulan nito, ito pa ang pinagmulan nito, ito pa ang pinagmulan. Wala pong infinite series of cause, may katapusan po. Merong isang cause. Yun pong ibig sabihin dito. May isa natatanging pinagmulan. At hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng infinite series ng pinagmulan. Sabihin, okay, maraming pinagmulan, maraming dinaanan, pero dapat titigil pa rin sa iisang cause, pinagmulan. Yun po ang sinasabi ng cosmological. And thirdly, ang claim po ng cosmological approach ay ito. Kung walang infinite series of cause, there must be a primary cause. At sa ating naniniwala sa Diyos, ang sabi natin, yung primary cause, yung pinagmulan ng lahat na naging bunga, ng lahat ng mga katotohanan, ng lahat ng realidad, ang pinagmula noon ay Diyos. So every effect has a cause, there is no infinite series of cause, and there must be a primary cause na sa Kristyanismo ay tinatawag na sa ating mga mananampalataya, tinatawag nating Diyos. Sabi po ng isang philosopher si William Craig ay ganito, something exists because there is an eternal, uncaused being for which no further explanation is possible. Meron daw pong eternal, uncaused being na pinagmulan ng lahat ng mga bagay kaya may something exists. Or else, we should believe that the universe simply popped into something or into existence uncaused. Yung bang Walang pinagmulan talaga ang mundo, bigla na lang nagkaroon ng ganyan. Walang pinagmulan. Uncaused being, existence which is uncaused, imposible po 'yun. Hindi puwedeng magkaroon ng epekto, hindi puwedeng magkaroon ng tinatawag nating bunga ng walang pinagmulan. Existence which is uncaused, that is illogically impossible. Hindi po logical 'yun. Kapag merong bunga, may pinagmulan, may pinanggalingan. At yun po ang idinidiin ng tinatawag nating cosmological argument para patunayan na talagang mayroong tinatawag po tayong Diyos. Ang tawag natin mga Kristiyano ay God. Meron din pong tinatawag at ang tawag ng iba ay the idea of first mover. Philosophically, it's called the idea of first mover in motion. Ano pong ibig sabihin at ano itong idea ng first mover? Para maitulad natin na may Diyos na pinagmulan at pinanggalingan ng lahat ng mga bagay. Ang paniniwala po, ang ideya ng first mover in motion ay ganito. Whatever is in motion must have been set in motion by something else. Kaya gumugulong ang isang bagay kasi may nagpagulong. May first mover. Hindi pwedeng gumulong nang walang nagpagulong. In motion, there must be a first mover. May pangunahing gumalaw. May pangunahing kumilos. But the sequence cannot go on forever. Yung sequence ng nagpagalaw. Kagaya po ng sinabi natin kanina, uh, there is no finite series of cause. Gayun din po sinasabi dito. The sequence cannot go on forever. Merong first mover. Babalik ka sa first mover. Sa first cause. There is no such thing as infinite regress. Ang ibig pong sabihin ng regress ay ito po yung opposite ng progress. Yung walang katapusang pagbalik. Sa kahuli-hulihan, ang sinasabi po natin dito, sa kahuli-hulihan, may isa na nagpagalaw. Sa kahuli-hulihan, may isa na nagpagalaw. Therefore, there must be a first mover. Sa philosophy po, ang tawag dyan ay first mover. Sa atin pong naniniwala sa Diyos at sa kanyang sinulat, ang tawag natin sa kanya, God. Ayaw lang tawagin ng iba yung first mover na God kasi nga hindi sila naniniwala. Pero naniniwala silang may first mover, may pangunahing gumalaw, may pangunahing pagkilos, may unang kumilos para magkaroon ng motion. Ang tawag nila ay first mover, ang tawag natin ng mga mananampalataya sa tunay na Diyos ay God. Meron po tayong, nabanggit ko na nga kanina na sinasabing contingent. Kapag po sinabi nating contingent, it is possible for something not to exist. Kasi contingent nga eh. Pwede or pwedeng hindi. Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng contingent. Pwede o pwedeng hindi. Pwedeng mangyari, pwedeng hindi mangyari. Yan po yung contingent. Pag sinabi po nating non-contingent, ang ibig po sabihin, it must exist eternally and necessarily. Something or someone na non-contingent must exist eternally and necessarily or else nothing will exist. Kasi kaya nga po tinatawag nating hindi maaaring hindi mangyayari. Kapag hindi maaaring hindi mangyayari, sa English po ay non-contingent, ibig sabihin, it must exist eternally and necessarily or else wala na mag-exist. Everything will be contingent. Pero kapag dapat mangyari ang isang bagay, tandaan po ninyo, and listen, kapag dapat mangyari ang isang bagay at magkaroon ng bunga ang isang bagay, mayroong isa na tiyak na nandoon na simula pa sa pasimula ay titiyaking mangyari ang dapat mangyari. Kapag dapat mangyari ang isang bagay, non-contingent, may isa na tiyak na nandoon sa simula pa. Sa simula pa ay nandoon na upang mangyari ang dapat mangyari. Kaya mahalaga po na maunawaan natin na the existence of God ay it must exist eternally and necessarily because it is non-contingent. Hindi maaring hindi mangyayari. At naroon na siya sa pasimula pa. Sabi nga po ni René Descartes, the only sufficient cost, pinagmulan, for each of these effects is God. The only sufficient cost for each of these effects, lahat ng naging bunga, lahat ng nangyari, ang lahat ng ito, ang sufficient cost, ang pinagmulan na nandoon na sa simula pa, walang iba, sabi niya ni René Descartes, ay ang Diyos. Ito po yung tinatawag nating cosmological argument. May bunga, may epekto, kasi may cause, may pinagmulan. Pero may limitasyon din po itong cosmological argument. Even if the idea of first cause or first mover, may unang nag-move. Ang tawag natin God, the God of the Bible. Bagamat may ideya po ng first cause or first mover, at ito'y undeniably true, yet some will reject that this is necessarily the God of the Bible. O sige, tinatanggap namin na may first mover. Tinatanggap namin na may first cause. Pero ang sabi pa rin ng iba, well, okay, may first cause, pero hindi yan necessarily yung sinasabi mo na the God of the Bible. Ito naman po yung limitation ng cosmological argument. Hindi pa rin talaga sagad na patunay ng existence of God, bagamat nakakatulong. Kapag may effect, may cause. Kapag may motion, may first mover. Ang tawag natin, ang Diyos. God. So kung meron pong ontological argument at meron din pong cosmological argument, yung isa nag-aaral sa nature of being or being, yung isa nag-aaral sa effect at kapag may effect, merong cause, first mover, first cause. Pangatlo po, meron din tinatawag na pagpapatunay sa existence of God na the teleological argument. Ito po naman ay the proof of design or purpose. The proof of design or purpose. Dito po sa teleological argument or approach, ganito naman po ang sinasabi, ang argumento. Whatever is designed must have a designer. Kung may building, may builder. Kung may design, may designer. Di po ba? So, ito po yun. Whatever is designed must have a designer. The fact na may building, may builder. Okay? Pangalawa po na itinuturo ng teleological argument ay some things in the natural world are designed. May disenyo ang natural world. Makikita po natin kahit ang tao may disenyo. Ang mga puno, mga bundok may design. Some things in the natural world are designed. And therefore, sapagkat may design, a designer or purpose exist. At sino po yung designer na yon? Sino po yung nagbigay ng purpose na yon? Christianity or the follower of Jesus Christ, they call the designer God. We call that God. Yung pong nag-design ng bagay na yon. Now, when a person, and let me give you an illustration, when a person is crossing or walking in a rice field, halimbawa po, naglalakad kayo sa palayan. Bagamat bihira na nga po yata ang palayan o bagamat marahil bihira na naglalakad ngayon sa palayan. Pero kapag ang isang tayo naglalakad sa palayan at nakakita po siya sa palayan ng isang wristwatch, relo, na sinusuot sa kamay. He would recognize it as something which did not just happen to be there or by an accident of nature. Kapag sa isang palayan, naglalakad ka at nakakita ka ng isang relo, na kagaya nito, wristwatch, sasabihin mo, aba, hindi ito narito by accident. Hindi na lang ito biglang lumutang dito sa palayan o maaaring ito'y bunga ng palayan. Hindi po. O ng mga palay. O bahagi ito ng palay. The person who found a wristwatch in a rice field will make at least two conclusions or three conclusions. Number one, kapag nakakita po siya ng relo sa gitna ng palayan, ang una niyang sasabihin at maaring sabihin, may gumawa nito kaya nag-i-exist. May gumawa nito. It has a maker. Pangalawa, kaya ito narito, hindi ito narito for an accident. Merong may-ari nito. Merong may-ari nito. May gumawa at mayroong may-ari. At pangatlo, tiyak it does not belong in the rice field. Hindi ito bagay at hindi ito para sa palayan. For the wristwatch has nothing to do with the rice field. And vice versa. Ang rice field walang kinalaman sa wristwatch. Kaya it does not belong sa rice field, sa palayan. Ano po ang ating sinasabi? Ano po ang ating puntos? Ang mundo po nating ginagalawan, mga kapatid, has form and order. May design. Yung the setting and the rising of the sun, yan po ay forma at kaayusan. Sumisikat ang araw at lumulubog ang araw, bagamat ito po ang biblical terminology, but alam po natin na hindi po ito talaga yung reality, but from the perspective of the one ng Bible reader, yun po, at sumulat ng Biblia, yun po yung nakita niyo nangyayari. The sun sets and the sun rises. Makikita rin po natin na ang universe ay may form and order in human body kasi makikita po nyo ang complexity of the amazing human body. Wala pong kasing amazing ang human body. May form and order. May design ang ating katawan. Lahat po ng bahagi ng ating katawan ay mayroong layunin kung bakit yan ay narito. Kung bakit yan ay nariyan, bakit dalawa, bakit isa, bakit may flexibility, bakit etc. Lahat po ng nilalang ay mayroong form and order. Lahat ng dinesign may form and order, maaaring sa nature at sa human body. Ilan po lamang ito sa example ng tinatawag nating form and order. And they all demand explanation. Lahat po ng ating nakikitang sa natural world, the setting of the sun, the rising of the sun, yung ating katawan, yung ating amazing body, they all demand explanations. There must be a design and there must be a reason for designing it that way. And the only sufficient explanation is a rational, purposive creator, God. May isa na nag-design. At tayong mga Kristiyano, tayong naniniwala sa banal na kasulatan, ang tawag natin doon, walang iba kundi ang Diyos. May limitasyon din po ang tinatawag nating teleological argument. Although the argument based on design or based on purpose, it could be the best of the three. And siguro ito po ang yung the fact na may design, may designer, may building, may builder, masasabi po natin that this is the best of the three among doon po sa ontological, cosmological, at ito nga pong pangatlo, the teleological argument. Yet still does not prove, ito po, it still does not prove fully the existence of God as creator. Hindi pa rin talaga nahahagip yung pagpapatunay na na Diyos ang manlalalang ng lahat ng ito. This argument, the teleological argument, speaks only of a great architect who fashioned the world, who designed the world, and that this being was the creator of the world does not necessarily follow. Hindi pa rin. Medyo kulang pa rin. Kulang pa rin. Hindi pa rin eksaktong-eksakto. Bagamat makakatulong na argumento sa existence of God. Kung may design, may nag-design, may designer. Kung may building, may builder. Ano? And etc. Okay? Now, meron pa pong isa. At palagay ko, ito po ang pinakamahalaga at pinakamaganda na pagpapatunay sa tinatawag nating the existence of God. Ito po ay tinatawag na the historical argument. The historical argument. Ito po yung nagsasabi that Jesus of Nazareth was raised from the dead by the God of Israel, who is also the God of the Christian Church. Jesus of Nazareth. Ito po ang napakahalaga dito. The historicity of Jesus of Nazareth. Now, let me remind you na yung pong unang tatlo natin binanggit, yung ontological, cosmological, and the teleological arguments, yung po yung mga rational proofs, mga philosophical proofs na hindi po mali. Nakakatulong po yun to prove the existence of God. May first mover. Sabi nga po ng cosmological. Merong greatest conceivable being. Greatest. Supremely perfect being. Sabi nga po ng ontological argument. Merong design. May designer. Sabi nga po ng teleological argument. Lahat po itong tatlong ito nakakatulong as rational proofs. Philosophical proofs, pagpapatunay batay sa kaisipan, batay sa kakayanan ng isip at ng karunungan. But something more is needed. Kaya nga sinasabi natin, may mga limitasyon yung tatlong yun. Kasi something more is needed. Kasi po, in addition to proving the existence of God, it is also important to establish the identity of God as revealed in the Old and New Testaments. Kinakailangan pa rin nating ma-establish nga yung identity. Yung sino, okay, we try to prove the existence of God, but sabi ko nga po kanina, marami pa rin magsasabi, sino yung first mover? Sino yung greatest conceivable being? Kinakailangan pa rin po kasi ma-establish ang identity of God revealed in the Old and the New Testament na kagaya ng ating pinaniniwalaan. At ito po ang maganda sa historical argument concerning the historicity of Jesus of Nazareth. Meron po tayong matibay na kakayanan at marami pong ebidensya sa labas ng Biblia concerning the historicity of Jesus. Jesus walked in Jerusalem, that Jesus existed, that Jesus exists. Marami nakakita sa kanya. Wala pong problema kahit hindi po Biblia, marami pong nagpapatunay, even Josephus, meron pong sinulat patungkol sa Jesus of Nazareth na nag-exist. And we can even identify kung sino ito na hindi nalalayo sa pahina ng Biblia. Now, tandaan po ninyo na historical argument as proof is not violating circular reasoning. Hindi po natin binabiolate yung circular reasoning na, gagamit ka na naman ng Biblia. Hindi po. Hindi mo kinakailangan gumamit ng Biblia to prove the historicity of Jesus Christ. Marami pong outside sources, outside the Bible, para magpatunay concerning the historicity of Jesus. It still does not use the content of the Bible, which some unbelievers would not tolerate. The historical argument will use the historical sections of the Bible verified, listen, verified by external ancient documents. Bineripika ng mga panglabas external ancient documents na sinulat ng mga non-biblical historians, kagaya ni Josephus. And so, ito pong historical argument, this methodology is objective. Objective pa rin, ibig sabihin, nasa labas ng Biblia at kapani-paniwala sapagkat pinatunayan ng mga historians, secular historians, yung historicity of Jesus Christ. Ito na po. The death and the resurrection of Jesus from the dead is a historical account. It is an objective approach because it is written in history. Si Jesus of Nazareth, yung kanyang death and resurrection is objectively historical. Nag-i-exist. And so, this is the point. Hindi natin binabayad yung circular reasoning. Because the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ is a historical, objective approach, it is to prove God's existence. And the historical and the historicity of Jesus is also pointing to the identity of God. Because Jesus is God incarnate. So when Jesus rose from the dead, nung si Jesus ay bumangon mula sa mga patay, it proved the integrity of Jesus as a teacher and the truth as the authority of his teaching. So meron pong integrity si Jesus as a teacher, meron po siyang truth na re-revealed na naging authority ng kanyang teaching, which is from his Father, God. And he testified, Jesus, the historical Jesus, testified about his Father, who is the God of the Bible, the God of the Old Testament, the God of the Jews, and also testifying that this is the God of the New Testament. So yun po yun, yung historicity of Jesus, sapagkat totoo si Jesus na nag-exist and he testified. Kaya nga po mahalaga dito yung testimony of the historicity of Jesus. Kasi the historicity of Jesus and Jesus of Nazareth is pointing to the God of the Bible. who is the God of Israel and the God of the Christian church today. Yun po yung kahalagan at ito po ang pinakamalataas at pinakamalakas na argumento sapagkat yaman din lamang na pinaniniwalaan ng mga secular historians ang historicity of Jesus na si Jesus ay nag-testify about His Father who is the God of the Bible. Nakuha po ninyo at I hope na nakuha nyo. Na-identify natin hindi lamang ang existence of God, kundi yung identity of God na maliwanag na walang iba kundi the God described in the Bible. Kasi ito po ang witness and testimony of Jesus Christ. And so the actual historical account of the death and resurrection of Jesus and even the historicity of Jesus alone, it establishes objectively the validity of the existence and the identity of God as described in the Bible. Yung pong unang tatlong pagpapatunay, the first three proofs are acceptable approaches. Tandaan po nyo, hindi po natin itinatapon yun, hindi natin isinasantabi, yung tinatawag nating ontological, yung God as the greatest conceivable being, yung ontological o yung cosmological, the first mover talagang merong kapag may effect, may cause, that's still good, that is still a valid approach. At yung teleological arguments or approach na kapag may design, ay may designer. Pag may building, may builder. Hindi po mali yung tatlong yon. Bagamat may weaknesses, makakatulong po to prove the existence of God. Although they are purely rational proofs, philosophical proofs. And it is okay because I love the Lord my God with all my mind. I love the Lord your God with all your mind. Rational proofs is okay. The first three approaches establish the possibility of God's existence. Wala pong pag-aalinlang. And yet, it does not prove the identity as the God of the Bible. But, ito na, the historical proof concerning Jesus Christ centers around the historical claim that Jesus of Nazareth was raised from the dead by the God of Israel, who is also the God of the Christian Church. And Jesus of Nazareth, the historical Jesus of Nazareth, testified concerning the God of Israel, who is also your God and my God. Hindi po lamang na-establish ng historicity of Jesus ang existence of God, kundi na-establish ito ang identity of God because of the testimony of Jesus, the historical Jesus. And so the historical argument, if I may submit this, and I submit to you, that the historical argument is the best claim proving the existence and identity of God outside the Bible. Mga kapatid, umaasa po ako at ang inyong lingkod na nakatulong po ang pag-aaral na ito about the existence of God. Kung may nagtatanong po sa inyo taga-alinlangan, bagamat bihira sa ating kultura, but I hope that just in case na may nagtanong, does God exist? Really? Totoo bang may Diyos? Maybe you can share ito pong bahaging ito ng ating pag-aaral sa kanila at baka po sakaling makatulong sa kanilang paghanap ng kasagutan if God really exists. Muli po nagpapasalamat mga kapatid sa inyong katyagaan, sa pakikipag-aralan ng salita ng Diyos, ng mga ebidensya. Bagamat minsan mahirap, may mga challenges po, maging sa mga terminologies, I hope that you will join me to study the things about God ng mas malalim kaysa dati upang tayo lumago sa ating kaalaman at magbigay pa ng mas banayad at mas malalim na relasyon at pakikipag-ugnayan dahilan sa ang Diyos natin ay buhay at ang Diyos natin ay totoo. Muli po, ibinibigay natin sa Kanya ang pinakamataas na papuri at muli po nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, Jonathan Orellasa. Hanggang sa muli.